Hi, my name is Cooper Penner, and welcome to part 2 of ALS Caregiving Strategies. Today we're going to be talking a little bit about maintaining a meaningful caregiver relationship, sort of the ins and outs of the hiring process, and how to maintain that delicate balance between too much intimacy, because intimacy inevitably arises when you bring someone to your life and your house and the traumatic experience of ALS, and boundaries, how to stay whole as a family even when all these new people are coming into your house. So caregivers make a huge difference in your life. If you're watching this, maybe you already know that. I feel like for me personally, I can only have any semblance of a normal life and a healthy, happy attitude because of the huge web of wonderful, compassionate people we've brought into our life. There have also been problems with caregivers, and they have caused a lot of anxiety and stress for me. We've had caregivers get in fist fights. We've had caregivers walk out in the middle of the job. We suspect people have stolen stuff, stolen medicine. It would be great if we could have avoided those situations. And I think a lot of the sort of means of navigating just any group of people is of a specific situation. Every ALS experience is different, and your needs are probably very different than the needs of my mom. But I think there are a couple sort of consistencies that arose for us and that I wanted to share with you. So the first thing to say is if you don't have any kind of caregiver or someone in your life who's well trained, I would suggest bringing them in as soon as possible. My mom's sort of best, or one of her best caregivers, has been with her since the very beginning. Since my mom had the ability to speak and to walk, and she would take her swimming. And because of that, they really grew into the disease together, and I think had a real just sense for what my mom needed. When they're together, my mom often doesn't even need to signal for any kind of need. This caregiver just knows, and that relationship took a long time to build and is very valuable. She's literally with my mom right now, and it's the only reason I have the time to make this video. And the other thing is sort of what I mentioned earlier, which is to have a large web of caregivers. We're very lucky. We have great insurance, and we have friends and family who have given us money to help pay for other caregivers. Most people don't have that benefit, so I'm aware of that. But whoever you can bring into your life, be it friends, family, try to create a sort of system, people who know your loved ones' rhythms and needs, so that if worst comes to worst, you can get some time to yourself. If there's some emergency, there's an extended network of people who can come in and help you. And I'll speak a little bit more about what resources exist in the insurance video, but the chances are you do have access to some things you might not know about, or funds you might not know about. So organization with caregivers is really key. Organizing financially and just in terms of time. We didn't know in California you actually can get reimbursed for a lot of your hours as a familial caregiver. So sitting down early on before things have become sort of dramatic or there's a lot of immediate needs is very helpful. Sitting down and realizing how much time you can devote to caregiving, how much time you feel comfortable and happy doing that, and how much time you need, where are sort of the weak spots in your schedule. Early on when we didn't have many caregivers, it was really, really hard for me and my family because we were just constantly doing it, and you begin to lose sight of yourself and the person you're caring for. At least that's my experience of it. When we sat down and really laid out groundwork of when we needed people, and for how long, and what our finances were, what we could afford, what we were owed by insurance, it made a huge difference immediately. It gave us some semblance of control. So creating a calendar and then filling it is a huge boon. So the actual process of getting a caregiver organization is also a little bit complicated. There's a ton of people out there doing this work now. It's a huge industry as our population ages. And being able to kind of separate the wheat from the chaff as far as, who has your best interests at heart is not always easy because, there's a lot of advertising. And you probably don't have a lot of time and energy. So there's no hard and fast rule for this, but I just really would go off of feeling. Obviously vet all your companies on the internet, and this includes medical supply companies. make sure that they have good reviews, good word of mouth. Speak with your loved one's primary caregiver. Doctor, just their primary, to see what they have to say, if they have any suggestions, and talk to the nursing staff. If you have nurses coming in and talking about how horrible the company is, they're constantly being bounced off of cases, it's dramatic, it's disorganized, maybe just cut ties with them as soon as possible. Don't get in bed with someone who's going to cause you a lot of stress down the line. And it's hard to discern this, but if early on you get some signs that maybe things won't work out, move on quickly, because you'll invest a lot of time and energy, and it'll just get harder and harder to separate. The same goes for caregivers. I mentioned a caregiver who almost got in a fist fight. Same woman who walked off. And she was really kind, and she was good with my mom, but she had a lot going on, and she brought a ton of drama into our house. And the way my family is we kind of just try to make things work however we can. And so we bent over backwards in a lot of ways to make it work with this woman. We had this specific schedule. She couldn't see this other caregiver. We were all just kind of like walking on eggshells about it. And it stressed out my mom a lot, who's a really compassionate person and was like concerned about her. And it was just totally unnecessary, It doesn't need to work out. You don't need to be best friends with everyone. And we should have just cut ties with her early. And so what I'm saying is something that might be just really pedantic to you, but wasn't obvious to me. And that's follow your gut. These people are in your life. You know them really well. You're going to become entangled with them. But they also are, your employees, and they play a really crucial role, which is keeping your loved one alive and happy. And if it seems like it might be a complicated situation, it might not work, you should consider moving on, because there are people out there who are really excellent, who will do a great job. I think for me, because I was so inexperienced, I perceived taking care of my mom as like the hardest job in the world. And if anyone could do it even kind of well, could kind of learn the skills, I was like, wow, they're incredible. What a gift. And it was, but also there were better people. There were a lot of people who are extremely capable and could teach me things. So that's basically the basics. Get a lot of caregivers, get them early, and make sure you like them and the company they work for. And organize your time and energy around when they can come. Make the schedule work for you as well as you can. Also look on a state-by-state basis at what resources are available to you, RE caregivers. You may be entitled to some government-mediated healthcare, and there may be nursing enclosed in that. If you're taking time off work, you may be entitled to significant reimbursement from the government. That's the case for us California residents. So that about covers it. Again, if you have any specific questions, if you want advice, or if you live in the Los Angeles area and you want references for excellent caregivers, send me a message. My email will be in the description. And I hope you have a great day. Thanks.